News legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us now to talk about the legal challenge to unaffiliated voters and their participation in the primary. So let's talk about the basics. Who are the plaintiffs? What is it they were asking the court to do for them?
Right. So this was a case that involved Proposition 108, which Proposition 108 was voted by the voters in 2016 that said unaffiliated voters could participate in the primary elections, either a Republican or Democrat primary.
One only.
Correct. Or they could not, and then just vote in the general. Well, here, these series of Republican plaintiffs, they were county chairs and what have you, they challenged this proposition saying unaffiliated voters shouldn't be able to participate in their primary because it's a First and 14th Amendment violation. That's what the lawsuit was about.
Okay, and many people remember when we voted on this, and there was a lot of discussion about that because there are a lot of unaffiliated voters in Colorado. And so they filed this, and then it was dismissed by the judge just last week. Are you surprised, and was that quick?
That is very quick. So it was dismissed on what's called a motion to dismiss. So that's one of the initial pleadings after the case is filed. And essentially what the state said, because they sued Jenna Griswold in her capacity as the Secretary of State, and they said, you don't have standing. So this was a series of individual kind of Republicans. And the court said, no, this is a case where the party itself, the Republican Central Committee, should have filed this. They may have had standing. So the court dismissed it almost on a technicality, if you will, but a constitutional technicality.
So is there any chance for appeal? And if so, I mean, is there even time for an appeal? I mean, you're talking about primaries now 2 months away. Right.
And some of the ballots will even go out next month to folks overseas and in the service and things like that. So that was one of the issues, because it was last September that the Republican Central Committee voted that they were still going to go forward with the primaries. So why? But they said we're authorizing a lawsuit. Well, they didn't file the lawsuit until February, and so now an appeal is really unrealistic because they're trying to stop the primaries, which are in June. So even if they filed an appeal, it would be unsuccessful, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. So how does this ruling have any impact, really, on anyone's opportunity to vote?
Right. No, it doesn't. So everything's going to go forward, and so unaffiliated voters can vote in either primary, and that will go forward. And that was one of the issues. We've had 3 elections where unaffiliated voters have chosen a primary. And interestingly, they didn't get to the merits, but the majority of those voters voted in the Democrat primaries. So to argue it's going to affect the Republican primaries was a little bit of a weak argument.
So I get the feeling now that it's become more of a regular occurrence that we end up in court before and after elections now. I don't know, I don't recall this happening as regularly as it has now happened just in the last 3, 4, 5 years.
It's a great point, and one of the issues here is that the Republicans are saying, well, we can't really put forward our candidate because these unaffiliated voters. But I think one of the results is that this is going to prevent the more extreme candidates on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, because you have these unaffiliated 43% of the state actually deciding. So, and yes, I think we are going to see lots of litigation before and after every election, which I say, fine, let the judges, who the public has confidence in, make the decision. The judges are objective.
Just slows everything down as far as that as well. I mean, you have an election and you don't get to move on. So I'm sure we'll be talking about this again, Whitney. It's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
We're glad you can sort it out because it is confusing. Okay. Thank you, Whitney.